Hello and welcome to an even more extremely special, I think special is the right word, version of Popcorn and Plot Holes.
Shark Buzz special?
Wow, I didn't, yeah, let's
You
just
didn't say that, but I did.
it was implied, I think. Listen, you've heard two voices, and that's all you're going to hear. Spencer, parts unknown, I think he fell into his money pit house. Chris, maybe he's trapped in
Went to
Montreal.
the moon.
Yeah.
Again? Wow, that is a blast from the past. I think it's from the other podcast even.
He's in a time vortex. Yeah, I don't know.
Might as well say Spencer has been held hostage by Wolfie.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. Yeah, good references. And in lieu of guests, because I can't keep saying I would never bring my brother back and then bring him back, I would be a liar and a fool. We have no guests. And we're not going to talk about Love Hurts because the two of us would make you want to gouge your ears out if you listen to us talk about that movie. Instead, we're going to talk about, I guess, the state of, we want to talk about superhero movies after seeing Brave New World, talk about that. Like, you know, I think the key point here is we want to talk about the trailer for, is it Doomsday? Is that what they're calling it?
Avengers Doomsday. Yeah.
And I think hopefully you've all seen now the trailer that is just the seats and the names of all the quote unquote 27 stars that are in this movie. And I don't even know if that's like, I assume it's a double movie like they did the last Avengers climax.
No, hopefully. I don't think so. I don't think it is.
Oh dear.
Doesn't look like it is. And like the reason why they showed only the seats is because that's all the time that they had. Because if they had to show anything, it would be like a 17-minute trailer.
Yeah.
Which means this movie is going to be like 4 hours long.
Well, yeah. Or everyone gets one word.
3 seconds. Yeah.
You know those videos where like everybody says one word to make the story? That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's an auteur piece.
Yeah, I guess so. And I mean, let's just talk about this because, I mean, you know, I think I've seen the buzz coming out, and this is just so we're clear on the buzz because I know the reviews for Thunderbolts are positive-ish. Most of them I've seen are positive. One I've seen kind of like, meh, it's okay. It's better than the last ones. And so we don't know exactly what the movie's like yet at this point. We're recording. But, you know, watching Brave New World and sort of the stuff that's led up to it, it's kind of like they seem lost in the phase 5 are we in? Is that what we're in? We're ending phase 5, starting phase 6? I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let me ask the internet.
Thank you, internet. Tell us.
It's my God. Okay. Multiverse Saga. It says phase 5. Phase 6 begins with the Fantastic Four movie.
Right. Okay. And that does seem promising.
Yeah. And then Avengers Doomsday is the next one. And then Spider-Man Brand New... No, this can't be right. I didn't notice that this was the name of the movie. So we had Captain America Brave New World. Now we're going to have Spider-Man Brand New Day. And what? We're going to have fucking, I don't know, Colossus Brand New Dick? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay. Brand New World, Brand New Day. Brand new. I guess it has to be Dick. You're right. That's the only D word I can think
That's
of.
the only word. The only other word with D that we have in the English language.
It seems like it's weird to do. I don't know. I don't want to get lost in naming conventions yet. We can go there later. I'm always hopeful. Like, you know, as we talked about in Brave New World, it probably would have been an all right movie if they just let the reveal of Red Hulk be a reveal and not like ruin that for us.
Yeah, I don't understand what the thinking is because okay, let's, you know, as we're wont to do, let's look at, you know, the past.
Okay.
Right, the whole thing with the MCU that kicked off this whole superhero movie smorgasbord era, let's call it, was that it was, you know, the story was cohesive and they took some chances, right? They picked not because they were brave necessarily, but because that's all they had. They
Yeah.
picked the B, like the B level heroes.
Yeah.
Because nobody gave a flying fuck about the Avengers other than comic nerds before.
Yeah, they sold all of the A tier characters to
To
different
Fox
studios.
and Sony.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So they did it, and they were like, you know what, we're gonna make this work, and they did.
Yep.
Right. And they picked, like, nobody knew about the Guardians. Even comic nerds didn't know about the Guardians. Right.
No.
And it all, to me, personally, right? I'm not some big time lawyer, or big city lawyer. But to me, what made it work was that it was all cohesive in the story, and they had some interesting casting, they had some good directing, blah blah blah.
Sure. Yep. And
move it forward.
And well, just to speak about the things like the big city lawyer team of Guardians of the Galaxy, like they had fun stories to tell.
Yeah.
And like I think that's where like Quantum Mania, Ant-Man Quantum Mania lost it for me. It's like
this is not fun.
It's not fun. Yeah. I don't care about any of this. So,
and that's the thing. That's a good segue into what I was gonna say. It's like like you said, they lost the sauce. Like, what we liked about those movies was not that, they had this message or whatever, or they were trying to be super detailed with, oh, this is how it happened in the comics, or no, it was just like, let's pick look at Civil War.
Yep.
Right, the movie. They took hints and ideas from the saga, but it was nowhere near the same saga.
No.
Right?
Yeah. And
I know some fucking like Reddit, subreddit or whatever is going to be
big city Redditors.
Yeah, actually, this is going to be clutching their own balls about it.
Parents' basement Redditors.
Yeah, well, same thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And like, fuck them, because we've said this plenty of times in the podcast, right? This is an adaptation. It shouldn't be the same. It's a different medium, right? And that, to me, that's what was fun, was like to see how they converted it. And they were doing is not all the movies are bad, but they were doing a much better job than they are now.
Yeah. Well, so like the question here is it a matter of story? Like they mined all the really good stories in the first 4 phases?
I don't know. I think it's honestly, if we're gonna, it's probably a combination of things, right? One is now they have a formula they have to follow.
Dude, what formula is that? Show me the formula, because I are confused.
So, I think the formula is pick up a story that exists in the comics, however loosely, even if it's just a name.
Sure. And
then pull things out of there so that the comic nerds can go, oh,
yeah,
right?
Extremist comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, or like even Red Hulk, right? Just the fact that there is a Red Hulk, and leave it unexplained. This is not that.
We did that
episode.
podcast. If you want to listen to it, it was the last one we did. Yeah,
the last one we did.
Yeah.
And then they try to pull in some like grandiose, or not grandiose necessarily, but like some overarching message, let's put it this way, like they did even in the series, like with what's the name of it, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Right, it's like, I'm not necessarily knocking this. It's interesting that they try to do that.
It had a storyline to it, and
and then insert some quips over here and there to make it like, ha ha ha, this is funny, and that's the formula, and therein lies the problem, because if you've noticed, I didn't say anything about the story.
Well, I think one of the things you're missing from the current iteration of that formula is they seem to do a really good job of taking the stories, but also taking archetypes of movies and inserting those stories into them to give a framework people are familiar with, right? Like, Captain America, the First Avenger, it is a superhero story set in a war movie, easy to understand, right? And then when you go to Winter Soldier for Captain America, then you're looking at more of like a
spy movie,
movie.
Yeah.
However you want to term it, right? And so those were like, they did a really good job doing a spy movie with superheroes. It was like that might be the best, movie of the bunch if you don't count the Avengers because they get to tell a different story over. You have 2 movies, right? So they get to cheat a bit.
Yeah, it's hard to pick though, right?
But
Because
anyways.
like you said, the genres are so different. Like you can't. How can you compare Winter Soldier with, I don't know, Love and Thunder?
Yeah. Well, it's easy. Love and Thunder sucks. And
Okay, Ragnarok then.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly, right? And Ragnarok is like, it's like a comedy, buddy comedy, like action.
It's that's a mashup, right? And
Yeah.
I think it works well
Sure.
because it's a mashup of genres.
Yes.
Like there's like the goofy comedy.
Yeah.
There's also like the
restrained goofy comedy, as we learned.
well, yeah,
in
Taika
Love and
Waititi on a leash, yes.
Yeah.
But also there's the space stuff, like the over the top, like alien magic space shit that is. It doesn't take itself seriously either, which is also important.
Yeah. It's
right?
it's this thing fantasy does, and I cannot name the exact archetype it's doing, but it's like, it's like 80s space, like
it's
Spaceballs, but like
pulled a little to the
and it's like it's
yeah.
very bright. The colors are all like neon colors, right? Like, anyways, I'm
so yeah, but you're right. They were. You're right. I hadn't actually thought of it that way, but you're right. They were able to insert superheroes into like movie archetypes, right? Yeah. What was the archetype of Brave New World?
Well, it could have been, the trailers suggested it was another like spy thriller, and
right.
And I was like, that seems really cool. I could go for another one of those. And then the movie, trying to think of, it kind of stole a lot from Winter Soldier.
Yeah, in a bad way.
In a bad way, and then it stole the Hulk's story and told him without it being in it for reasons that no one will ever know. And so
it picked up without not wanting to be, and I'll keep it short, but not wanting to be that guy. But they also picked the Red Hulk story and flipped it on its head, for no reason.
And we've been through this again in the podcast. So, but
yeah,
to me, they're starting to lose the threads of that, right? And so, hopefully, Thunderbolts starts to bring it together, because each of these stories,
Thunderbolts has to be a similar movie to Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
on the DC side, not the shitty first one, the second one.
Yeah, it could be. That would be helpful. But I think the thing that has to happen is the stories need to have like a point outside of the movie itself, right? Like if you think of, yes, Winter Soldier, or yes, Iron Man 2, like the movies are self-contained stories, but it's moving the character along in a meaningful way. It's moving the world along in a meaningful way.
The world, I was going to say, more than the character. This is one of the main differences I found with the MCU movies, especially in the beginning, is that they were like Iron Man, it's in the title, right? Yeah. Thor or whatever.
Yeah.
But that they are not the only first class citizen there.
Yeah.
Those heroes exist in a world that is shared by the other movies and series. And that's what that's what they did super well. Right? You get at the end of Iron Man 1, and suddenly I think that's the one where Nick Fury shows up in the Stinger, right? In the very first one, right? Or no, it was the second one. You're muted, Matt.
Weird. I pressed spacebar and it didn't come off. Anyways, it's the first one because
they talk about the Avengers program.
Initiative, yeah. And it's this.
So, anyway, whichever movie it is,
it doesn't matter.
You'll go like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't just a story about Iron Man in a vacuum. This is the story about Iron Man in a world where these types of people and heroes and characters exist.
Yeah. And
then you get the Hulk, which, leaving aside the problems that movie had.
Sure.
Did the same. And Thor did the same. And Cap did the same. Well, Cap was a weird movie because it was set in the past, and then he brings it back to the future only in the end so that he can join.
But it's still
but it's
Connects
it's
the dots.
moving.
Yeah,
No, and it talks about Hydra for the
Yes.
first real time,
Yeah.
right, and so on. So it's like you said, it's moving the world along, but it was doing a really good balancing act of evolving the character, telling you a little bit more about the character,
Yeah.
tell a bit more about not just the character as the hero, but the person, right?
Yeah.
And also advancing the world, and culminated with Endgame, probably the best ensemble movie we've had in a very, very, very long time. Certainly the best ensemble movie, like superhero movie, that we've ever had.
Yeah.
I would say, right? And then I think to me, that's when they went, now the fuck what?
Yeah. So
how do we top this?
Yeah.
Right.
So like that's like you see it in they start it's like when they finished the arc for Avengers, they started experimenting, right? Because you see them in Quantum Mania, they're gonna go with Kang, and they're gonna go with Jonathan Majors, which
that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean that's unfortunate, right? And so they had a plan to some degree, and Jonathan Majors, he's a great actor. I really enjoy his work, but unfortunately, his extracurricular activities
trash human being,
subpar to say the least.
Yeah,
and so they had to jettison all that plan. So I think that creates some of the uncertainty. But stuff like having Darren Cross play MODOK was just like,
and in the way that it was, like,
right,
yeah, MODOK is goofy,
right,
always has been,
yeah.
But MODOK himself always took himself seriously,
Yes.
which was part of the joke. It's like Batman has to take himself seriously,
and so like
to some extent.
It's the implementation isn't what I'm questioning. It's the experimenting without, like, it's like they lost the pulse, and so they're experimenting there. And then the whole Quantum Mania
like
thing,
throwing it against the wall and seeing
it
what
felt like
sticks.
a little bit, right? Like, and the Quantum Mania is like, well, we got to get Kang in here, and that's fine. And it's fine to go to the quantum world. I don't care. But it's like the story outside of introducing Kang was pointless. Nothing.
Yeah.
They introduced all these characters and nothing mattered, right?
Well, that was going to be my other point. My other point was bringing in either characters that everybody wants to see or actors that people are. So like, the whole reason, in my mind, why Quantum Mania exists is just so they can go, ooh, Michael Douglas, ooh, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, but
nobody
already
cares.
had them in the other movies. They could have.
But they're like, oh, but we want more.
Yeah, I don't.
Again, missing what was fun about.
I disagree. I don't think anybody gave a shit about that. And I don't think you like.
I agree that nobody gave a shit, but they thought they did.
You didn't need to put them in the quantum world with Bill Murray. Like, none of that shit made sense, right?
Yeah. Well,
and so, anyways, we're losing. We're getting
much like Marvel. We're losing the thread.
Yeah,
yes.
We're losing the thread. We're getting distracted. You can't see the forest from the trees. Like, with this, we're laying out a very long and complicated thing, because this comes around to the idea that now we're on a path to Doomsday, right? And I don't know when Doomsday is coming out. Let me see
next
year.
2026.
So like, this is the thing that I'm confused by, because we'll have Thunderbolts, and that will start setting, like, Captain America Brave New World did nothing to set up Doomsday. It has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. Thunderbolts concludes technically phase 5. That's what they say.
Okay, so in theory, then Thunderbolts might not have much to do with Doomsday. Maybe there's just Stinger because they could add that on. So really, Fantastic Four is going to be the first step.
Makes sense. If you're going to set up Doom, you have to do it in a Fantastic Four movie.
But like, what else comes after that before Doomsday?
Nothing. It's Fantastic Four first steps, Doomsday, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then concluding with Avengers Secret Wars.
So,
what?
Yeah, all right.
I want to talk a little bit about what you started this with, which is Doomsday. So, like you said, it wasn't their original idea, right? They wanted to set up. There was even the name for the movie, right?
Kang Dynasty.
Kang Dynasty, yes. And then the whole Jonathan Majors debacle happened. Yep. They had to change it, right? So, okay, fine. But then, and this was kind of sparked a conversation between us in the podcast, on WhatsApp when we talk about it. And I said, why? First of all, why are they putting the X-Men in this?
Well, okay,
like it's already enough
let me set the stage for anybody who hasn't seen the trailer, just so you understand why we're complaining with the X-Men, because it's
Right.
it's a specific thing, right? So we all know that apparently Robert Downey Jr. is Victor Von Doom, and we can speculate
Yeah.
on how we think that's going to work. Then we have Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, we have Thor, we have Sue Storm, we have Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, Ben Grimm, Shang-Chi, Yelena Belova.
We have everybody. We have Namor. We have
Baku, Loki, Mystique.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
this is where we get down, when we get down to the cast and we talk about the X-Men. One of the big challenges is that the X-Men are the X-Men from the Bryan Singer movies.
Yeah.
That guy can go fuck himself too, by the way, but that's a whole other thing.
Yes.
And so Patrick Stewart, Rebecca Romaine, which that's not so bad, but it's not great. Also, sidebar, Channing Tatum is coming in as Gambit, which,
Yeah.
sure, whatever. James Marsden is back. Kelsey
That's
Grammer.
For our younger viewers, of which we have none.
Yeah.
So James Marsden is Cyclops.
Yeah.
Rebecca Romaine is the original Mystique.
Yeah.
Alan Cumming was Nightcrawler.
Yes.
Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, I think people know
Yeah.
because they've been
I
on
think
the other
Kelsey
movies.
Grammer is coming into the voice of the Beast, which, again, whatever, fine.
Yeah.
So I think the big two questions, and one I think is a really throwaway question. How do you make a movie where 27 people matter? And two, how do you make a movie where there's a chance that by the time the movie comes out, several of the cast members may have died of natural causes and being old?
Old age.
Yeah. I love Patrick Stewart. I love Ian McKellen, but I
They're
hope they
both
hold on. But
pushing 90.
yeah, they are fucking up there. So, like,
Kelsey Grammer is almost 80.
yeah, right? So,
Yeah.
how, like, I don't know if anybody watched the latest Indiana Jones movie, but Harrison Ford can't move very well because he's in his 80s. And so, like, how do you do this? Like, are they going to do action? Are they just going to be mentors for 5 seconds? Like, what the fuck?
But then why would you introduce likely, if not the most awaited, some of the most awaited characters to come into the MCU, the X-Men?
Yeah.
Because now we're talking about A-listers in terms of comics, and like people that have never read comics or whatever, they knew the X-Men from the movies in the 2000s, from
TV show,
the animated series, right?
Yeah.
So why would you introduce these characters when they're, and it sounds ageist, and it is a little bit, but like they're in that's door. Like, even if this works, let's say this works perfectly for this movie, how many more movies are they going to get out of them? Why not introduce the new X-Men?
Well, like,
you know what I mean?
You could have, if you wanted to go with names you knew already, you could have gone with
Jennifer
Lawrence
as Mystique. Yeah. It could have pulled James McAvoy, Michael F. S. Bender.
Yeah.
That's the proper way to say his name.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that would have, but like, you could also, I mean, and like, I guess it's interesting that like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh
Jackman are not. Yes.
But anyways, so it's just, the biggest question is like, it feels like, to me, they're doing the same thing they did with Brave New World. I was going to say the Red Hulk, but you get it. Like, you
Captain America, Red
time,
Hulk.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Instead of like, because if you're saying these people are starring in this movie, like, let's give them credit. It's probably a 2.5+ hour movie just because of all these people. But like, like, are they all going to get 5 to 10 minutes of screen time? Like, is every single person?
I have a feeling it's going to be what happened with the Illuminati on Multiverse of Madness, where they all show up together in
5 seconds.
One scene. Well, hopefully not that bad, but like they all show up in one scene and they all go, they all do the little quip thing of saying some like catchphrase or
Sure.
just show, and then that's it. But then I go back to my question: why introduce these characters to the MCU this way?
Well, or like, I don't want to dismiss your thing, but it's also like, if you're going to do that, just make it a thing that happens in the movie, right? If it's so minor to the movie, like, no one was like, hey, guess who's in Multiverse of Madness? John Krasinski, right?
Yeah.
He just shows up and they're like, oh shit,
Which was awesome.
that's fun. This is the
for
thing,
the
right?
5 minutes when he was awesome.
This
but yeah.
is the thing. I feel like the Marvel is just like everything, like, and I don't think it's Marvel's fault. I think every movie that does sequels suffers from this idea that bigger, better, more. And to some degree, you can't just do the same old thing because that's boring. But the disease of bigger, better, more is like, I think it's starting to like Ouroboros Marvel and eat its, you know, it's eating its own tail, right? Because it's like, why can't I have some surprises in the movie? Like, why can't I be surprised that fucking, you know, I don't know, like Channing Tatum is still showing up as Gambit.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say you don't have to go far. We've had some of those surprises.
Yeah.
You know, when Deadpool and Wolverine, which we all loved, right? They, you know, like Hugh Jackman is there, and we knew about that, but we didn't know that, you know, fucking Chris Evans was going to show up as Johnny Storm again.
Yeah.
And that was fucking incredible.
Especially when we all assumed he was Captain America, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, Jennifer Garner and like all of those things as a cameo, as something like, okay, here, this exists. It's a thing. It's part of the universe. Fine.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone. Don't say that they're all coming back. Give me a cameo of like a scene or two, right? And that's fine. I agree. But like, and this is, again, we talked about this in the last, you know, when we talked about the movie, but stop showing me everything on the trailer and then the fucking call sheet.
You need,
right? Like,
you just need to, especially with Marvel now, it's just like, I don't think we care about the, like, it's like, oh, Doomsday has the most cool actors ever. Make the movie good.
Yeah.
You've made enough shit movies that you need to just make a good movie.
That's the thing. When this started, again, going back to 2008, people knew who Robert Downey Jr. was, but he wasn't like a big name actor.
No.
He was like a B-lister, maybe a C-lister
somewhere
back then,
in there. Yeah.
Right? Chris Hemsworth had done stuff, but was not famous at all.
Yeah.
The really famous actor they got was Edward Norton, who fucking bailed.
Yeah, that's a whole.
And then they got Mark Ruffalo, who nobody actually really knew.
No. Yeah.
And then Chris Evans was also like, had done some stuff, but
if you know, like they did a good job of mixing in, you know, like much like how Star Wars had to get Alec Guinness, right, to have a named actor in the movie, like having Anthony Hopkins or Sir Anthony Hopkins in Thor.
Yeah, it was great because
right?
He wasn't big.
Yeah,
he did a terrific job.
Yeah,
and he, you know, got the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Right.
So I like
the first Iron Man movie had Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. Another.
Right, there you go. You're right. You're right. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
So that's good.
The one person, right?
Yeah. And so now you're big and everybody knows who these actors are, and that's fine. You don't have to do that stuff anymore. But I don't think you need to, like, it's like you're just trying to like.
But continue doing this. It's fine if you do it with the actors that you already have. Sure. Yeah. You want to have Doomsday be RDJ. Sure, I don't understand how that's going to work, but whatever. Fuck it. Fine. But then he's the pool. People are already going to go watch.
Sure.
That.
I'm going to come to this movie because I want to see how you fucking justify Robert Downey Jr.'s Doomsday. Like, and we can go into this for 5 seconds because to me, you basically have to say that he is Tony Stark in a fucked up timeline where he becomes Doomsday instead of Iron Man.
It's either going to be that or there's going to be 17 jokes about, oh, you look like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
That's going to be awful. I hope they don't do that. Yeah.
It's the same way they made, for the second Avengers movie where they had,
you mean Quicksilver?
No. The main bad guy.
Oh, Ultron?
Yeah. So Ultron in this universe, Ultron is created by them fucking around with Jarvis, right? And that's not how. That's sort of the mainline story for Ultron. Is he's not like a creation of Tony Stark.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So like and that's fine. Like it's a good way to introduce into the storyline and make all the stories cohesive, right? So I think you have to keep with that mindset of like, how do we make this cohesive? The idea is like, oh, you look like Iron Man, and it's like it's gonna fuck up a couple people because like their Iron Man died, and like, you know, his daughter is gonna say, "I hate you 3000" or whatever. Like, fine, knock yourselves out. But that'll be the lamest shit. Like, you got to be better than that. You have to resist the urge to do that shit.
Yeah, because I think they're gonna take a page out of Deadpool and Wolverine, where, you know, Chris Evans was Johnny Storm in that, right? And they're gonna say, "Oh, I mean, if Cap can be Johnny Storm, Tony Stark can be
But
Doomsday.
Cap
But like,
was Johnny Storm. There's a difference.
exactly,
And
right? And it's like you can't like. What are you saying? Oh, this is Tony Stark, but he has a different name, and that doesn't make any fucking sense.
no. Yeah, I don't
Because the
know.
one thing that stays is the person's identity,
You think
right?
so?
They can be completely different people,
Yeah.
like personality wise, but like it's not like, Doctor Strange is Stephen Strange in one universe and then I don't know, Jebediah Strange on another. No, it's not. That's not how that works.
I mean, maybe
right?
they're trying to use the what ifs to prime people for the idea of like weird things happening, right? But it's like there are things you can do in the comics because I think there's a series of comics where I don't know the exact details, but Doc Ock takes over Peter Parker's body, or Peter gets trapped in the
That's
same body,
different.
right? And so
Yeah.
Doc Ock is like Spider, he's playing both, and it's a whole. But like that's shit comic book readers accept because comic book readers are used to like the wildest, crazy shit ever happening, right? But
Yeah,
moviegoers are gonna be like, come again?
What?
Yeah. And so
And even it doesn't matter how much they announce, because they announced this a long time ago
yes,
on a Comic-Con or something.
yeah, I think that's right.
And it's like people are gonna go, okay, cool, I like RDJ, he's
Yeah.
fun. But
Yeah.
like, first of all, Victor Von Doom is probably the closest thing to a polar opposite of Tony Stark that we have in terms of personality. He is annoying.
Yeah.
He is pedantic. He is self-grandiose. Well, that's self-grandiose is similar, but he's not likable. He's not charming. He's a pain in the ass, right? And that's how it's supposed to be. He's supposed to be this sort of like tunnel vision, super driven person. Like he gives Reed Richards a run for his money and being uptight, right?
Yeah.
Is RDJ gonna play him like that? Not that I don't think he can. He's a good actor. He can. Like we've seen him in fucking Oppenheimer doing something like that.
Oh yeah, like
right?
It's not that he can't do it. It's like how do you make it work within the canonized universe?
Yeah,
right?
it's one thing when you cast against type an actor that has never been on any of the franchise movies. That's fine, but like, how are you gonna reconcile that? I'm very curious to see, and I don't think I'm gonna like the answer.
I mean, it's kind of like our curiosity around can DC finally make a Superman movie, right? Like the trailers look promising, and there's a lot of crypto, and I don't know about that. And James Gunn is going deep into the Superman lore, which I can appreciate. But the core crux of the problems with Superman is that it's really hard to have a superhero who is impervious to everything be put into peril.
And it's hard to write a compelling story, right?
And the difference here is that I trust James Gunn. He has enough of a track record that I think if anybody can do it, he can do it. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't fucking trust the Russo brothers anymore.
No, I don't either.
Like they did a great job with Avengers. All credit to them for both those movies. But everything else they've made, and we've pretty much watched almost everything they've made somehow. We just picked them. They suck.
Yeah.
They are like, look, fucking Electric State. I don't know where they spent $500 bajillion million on it, but it's not a fun time.
To the point where you go, how the fuck did they make Endgame so good?
Yeah, honestly. So
I don't understand.
That's why, so I'm concerned, right? So they come out swinging their dick around, being like, "Look at all these actors we got. It's going to be the best. We got RGJ's Victor Von Doom, blah blah blah." I'm like, I'm just scared. I don't
understand. Like that to me, when they announced it, I was already very, very skeptical. Like Chris linked the thing to us like it was his birthday and Christmas rolled into one when they announced that. I was like, did you stop to think about this for a second? How is it gonna work? And I think your idea, Matt, is the one that makes the most sense, which is just like, oh, this is like some fucked up, like you said, some fucked up like timeline or some cloning shit. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
But I have a very nagging feeling that just gonna go like, no, they just look like each other. Kind of like Cap in one world and in like a bunch of worlds, not just the one, because we do see crossover. And that one world where Johnny Storm looks like Cap, they're going to do the same thing there. It's just say, no, they just look like each other.
Yeah. I mean, all right. God bless them if they do, but I think that would be a mistake. If they do that, they just have to never like. You have to be like, oh fuck, it looks like Iron Man, and just never talk about it.
Leave it alone and never talk about it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, because which to me is a waste of casting Robert Downey Jr. in that role.
Yeah, and it's a waste of like if they can find a way of doing this correctly, like it's some potential for really bad drama. Like imagine Pepper seeing him.
Oh yeah, Peter would lose his mind, right?
Or Peter,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like, oh my god, I have to. Are you telling me I have to fight this guy?
Yeah.
This guy who looks and for all intents and purposes basically is the person, the loved person that I lost because he saved the fucking world.
Yep.
It's I don't know.
So we'll see. I'm cautiously pessimistic.
Cautiously
Is the way I'm terming it.
Enthusiastically pessimistic.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. And maybe we need to be more positive like Chris. Chris has a very positive outlook on this stuff. And I'd love to be positive. And, if they can do something with Thunderbolts that's interesting, I got to say, Fantastic Four does look cool. And I like the idea of going to a retro futuristic world to do it. That could be a lot of fun. But I'll believe it when I see it at this point. And not say that I won't watch it, but I just, they're getting.
Oh, we're all bitches. We're gonna watch it.
But it's like they've lost the, like any actor or any movie franchise, like they've lost the automatic must see guaranteed good time.
Yeah, we had a good run, right? In the late 2000s, like early 2010s and so on. Until the end, like let's call it until the end of like phase 1. Well, phase 1 was amazing. Phase 2 was a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
And then it just went downhill from there. And I think obviously there's also the expectation, right? We go to these movies now expecting a certain level of like quality, I guess, and entertainment. I don't know. The last couple of movies that we watched, certainly for the podcast, did not deliver.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was just
other than Deadpool and Wolverine did deliver.
Sure, it did, but it's not even like. So I'm looking through the phases, right? So phase 1 starts with Iron Man and culminates with the Avengers, right? So a nice, easy storyline. Phase 2 is all over the place because it starts with Iron Man 3 and it culminates with technically Age of Ultron, but
the first 2 movies of phase 2 are really bad.
Yeah, there are some bad movies, right? But there's still
then
better.
Winter Soldier just redeems it entirely. Yeah,
and then Ant-Man rounds it out, but it's like one of those things where it's like you almost can consider Ant-Man to phase 3, and then you dip into phase 3, and they've got a lot of movies packed in there. But in general, they had a good plan for everything, and that's you run into Endgame, right?
Yeah, phase 3 was lots of up and downs, right?
Yeah.
Like Civil War.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, good movies. Guardians 2 is bad. Homecoming is great. Ragnarok's great. Black Panther is great. Yeah.
It's like I think almost all of them are good.
And
so
then you have Endgame, right?
Yeah, and then again, it's like it's funny how they tack on like a Spider-Man movie afterwards, but it's like it's kind of awesome. And phase 4, and then this is kind of where things start to fall off, right? Because they lose. Phase 4 just feels like they had a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
When you talk about, so in phase 4, it's considered Black Widow, Shang-Chi, The Eternals, Spider-Man, No Way Home, Doctor Strange, and the Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever. And like, I haven't watched
Wakanda Forever, but of those movies, Shang-Chi is good.
But
No Way Home is good.
All of those movies have nothing to do, like they're all just movies that are existing in their own tiny bubbled universe.
Yeah, you could almost like watch them on their own in a vacuum and it'd be fine.
It really wouldn't matter. Like there's some, superhero crossover, but only in the sense that they've kind of crossed over before. And that same sort of thing, happens into phase 5 as well, right? And so it seems like almost like they didn't have a target for the overarching story.
There's no through line like there is in the other movies, or the other phases, it feels like. And
so like, it's good they have I guess they have a through line for phase 6. Like, it seems like they have one. It just seems like it's coming in fast. It seems like we've been spinning our wheels for the last 2 phases, and now all of a sudden they're like, "Doom's here, fuckers." So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just sad at the whole state of like MCU stuff.
Yeah,
not because I think we would be complaining either way, because first of all we're old. And second of all, there's the expectation, like I said. But I don't think that this is that's just what it is. I think there's a problem there.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's just interesting. Maybe I wonder if you could get some truth serum into Kevin Feige, how much the Kang thing blowing up
Fuck
really,
them over.
yeah, fuck them up. Because like you'll never know how many of the movies, especially in Phase 5,
Yeah, they
were
had to be like
we're just
changed
like,
completely.
just do
Yeah,
your thing. We don't know what we're doing. Don't worry about it. Like obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine could just do whatever they wanted because it was never really mainline. Um, but like Brave New World, you really wonder, and even like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like you wonder what those movies were setting up or what they were going to do or what they chopped out. Because obviously,
I haven't watched Guardians 3, but
yeah,
you get Namor and Adam Warlock in them, right? In it.
Namor shows up in Wakanda forever.
Okay. So Adam Warlock is on Guardians 3.
Adam Warlock's in Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So like there are plans there, but you wonder how much it scuttled them and how much of things are a problem. Um, and then then again they made the Eternals in Phase 4, so who the fuck knows what they were thinking? But they brought it back in. It was important. Anyways, I'm
It was
rambling at
that
this point.
they were. Are you saying that it was adamant that they bring things back?
It seems like they're like listen, did they stitch Brave New Hulk into the
I
Hulk
like it.
storyline?
I like it.
It wasn't the worst.
Captain America, Red New Hulk.
Yeah, Red New Hulk. Like Brave Red Hulk. Like it was.
Yeah.
I don't mind a callback like that, but the
No,
problem
it's
was
fine.
you can't call back in someone. Anyways, we talked about this already. You don't call back in someone else's movie. The Hulk has to show up in a movie where it has everything to do with all the
No,
Hulk
yeah,
characters.
that whole movie was like the movie was like a pile of ideas together that they tried to stitch
Yeah.
and didn't work.
And
Like,
I wonder if that happens because Kang.
the Kang thing.
The Kang
I
thing
don't
can't
know.
happen.
This had nothing to do with that. Like this movie, like even if it was Kang, there's
Right.
nothing that happened in this movie that would have changed because Kang was
Well,
there.
that's the thing. We don't know what the movie was before they had to ditch Kang, right? I think Brave New World,
Oh,
or
I see. Maybe there was
Brave Red
I see what you
Hulk
mean.
may have been completely rewritten.
Yeah.
Or done because they didn't know what else to do, and so they just did this one-off story, right? So anyway, the gist of this conversation is, is Marvel? I guess the question I would pose to you is: Marvel on the way up? Is it like a plateau before they plummet? Like, what do you think it is?
I I think it's a combination of things for me. One is doing too much because for the first however many phases, all we had were movies.
Yeah,
There were movies that were in the same universe, and that was it. And then Disney Plus happened, and then they started to do a bunch of series. I'm not complaining; I like most of those series, but now it's too many things to keep up. Like it's too many spinning plates, I think.
yeah,
And I think what's happening now is a combination of that with Disney wants money. We got to make these, and these are like printing money,
yeah.
right? And not giving Kevin Feige. I don't know. That's speculation, obviously, but like not giving Kevin Feige the time or the resources, maybe both, to do what he wants to do. I don't have a reason to think that Kevin Feige lost the plot.
Well, I wonder if Kevin Feige had too much to do, and
Or
so
maybe
he
that,
couldn't
right?
keep the story together in a meaningful way because now he has to run television and movies.
I mean, if She-Hulk is anything to go by, you would be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, we don't have
What a
time to
waste
talk
of a
about
character. I love. We had this conversation in the other
Yeah, we
podcast.
did.
She-Hulk is
Yeah.
one of my favorite characters, and they did her dirty a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Right. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see. We'll talk about all these movies on the podcast at some point.
Because we're complaining, but we will watch them. There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
doubt in my mind.
We're definitely going to cover them. Especially leading up to. We're kind of locked in now, leading up to Doomsday to cover them. Like, certainly, I think 100% we'll do Fantastic
Thunderbolts?
Four.
And Fantastic Four.
Whether we do Brave New
Brand new
apartment building
dick.
or Brand New Dick, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but probably because that's how we work. Actually, that's
Yeah.
after Doomsday, so really just have to
Yeah.
do a Fantastic Four, and the Thunderbolts. I'll probably do the Thunderbolts. I don't see how we wouldn't do it at this point.
Honestly, I would watch Thunderbolts just for the reason that Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan are in them, because I just like them. I like the way they play their characters
Yeah.
so much.
Well, I
I was
like
so
David Harbour.
pissed that Winter Soldier showed up for so little time in Red New Hulk. So
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Listen, if you like superhero movies, you're gonna watch this stuff, and you're like, I don't know if they're ever gonna stop making superhero movies, but
It's gonna take a while.
It's gonna take a while.
Do you know about the westerns, like in the early, like the spaghetti westerns and all that, like how long they made those movies before someone went, okay, it's not making money anymore.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
not.
like, you know,
It's the same.
If you think about, the people who grew up with these movies, right? Like, so we didn't really we were already old when movies started coming out, and we had comic books to our name, but if you were 16, 15 when the first Iron Man movie came out,
Yeah.
that's still those things are like when the shit you're into in your teens, it's like entrenched in your soul.
100%.
So those people who love those movies then will still watch well into their 50s and 60s.
Spencer.
So, yeah, Spencer's the young old at heart.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm hopeful. I don't ever want any movie ever to fail. Like, I don't care if every movie ever was good. That'd be amazing. That would be awesome. But
I want some movies to fail, but for the most, these movies I don't want to fail. I agree.
You're nature's greatest monster. So that's story tracks.
Also true.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I hope I'm wrong, and whatever they do with Doomsday actually really works, and I'll gladly eat my shoe for having said I don't think it can work.
Yep. But I'll leave the listeners with this parting thought, and it's that for every Star Wars, you have a Rebel Moon.
Well, wise words, my friend.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
Anything else from you?
No, just to say that even Star Wars now can't really use it as a good example anymore, unless you're talking about some of this, like Andor.
No,
season 2 came out, but like other than that,
you're overthinking the analogy. It works on many levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll leave you with this thought then. Don't be a Catherine Kennedy. Be a Kevin Feige.
Wow. The Year of the Patriarchy is back.
Yeah. Well.
It never lasts. All right. Next week, we will talk about Love Hurts. Love Hates. I was going to do Love and Thunder. We don't need to talk about that again. We already did.
No.
Hopefully with Spencer and Chris.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll like that movie. Who knows? It's not like we watched it already.
No, we definitely didn't do that. Okay, bye.